one game away from the crowd.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the World Championship Series Premier League for StarCraft II. We are live from Burbank, California. The fans here are absolutely amazing already. Huck, I'm feeling the hype. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling good. There's these like little thunder sticks, man, adding so much.
Yeah, the fans here are definitely hyped. Of course, we are here in the round of 32. Today will be Group D. But of course, the round of 32, we've had 32 players battling it out, representing 6 different regions. And of course, they are fighting to make it to the top 16 Season 2 finals in Toronto. And then, of course, it'll be a double elimination best of 3 headed into the best of 5 and finals best of 7. Toronto's going to be absolutely fantastic, Huck. I'm sure you, of all people, know how amazing those fans are.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it walking down in like a huge stage, having all those fans cheer for you, and the feels, the hashtag feels as always. It's going to be pretty electric.
Yeah, I know, and these players are fighting for a lot of money, Huck. $217,000 worth of prize money, and of course those valuable WCS points, 12,250 total. And especially with the road to BlizzCon, those points are becoming increasingly valuable because everybody wants a shot to make it to that stage in Anaheim.
Yeah, I mean, both players, or most of this group actually today, they like if you win a WCS season, you've got a really good shot of making BlizzCon. But most of the players in today's group, they need that win. Not even just here. I mean, this is the first step, but in Toronto, of course, taking that final big step.
Yeah, and speaking of groups, let's take a look at all the groups that we have in the round of 32. We had 2 groups take place last weekend, groups A and B. 4 players have already solidified their spot in the round of 16, as well as 2 players from yesterday's group in Group C. Of course, today will be Group D, and the last 4 groups will take place in our studio over in Cologne, Germany. And with our results already, we do have some significant WCS standings. Namely, I have to point out again, Bunny, with his top placement, top 4 in Season 1, as well as advancing already to the round of 16 here in the Season 2. He's looking pretty good there.
Yeah, Bunny obviously having the most realistic shot of making it. But we do have players here even, that we see on this board, like Harstem, like Xenocider. And when it, at the end of the day, if you can win a WCS season or make it pretty far, round of 4, finals, something like that, they of course have a shot. It's not over. We're only like, halfway through the year almost, and there's a lot of opportunities still.
Yeah, definitely, and as you just said, the players here, they really want that shot. It'll be Group D today. It's iAsonu, or as he likes to go by, IA, Xenocider, Harstem, and NXZ. And just looking at these 4 players, is there a player that stands out to you?
Well, I was looking for a player that would actually smile in the photo. They all look like convicts almost here, but Harstem, I would say. I think he's probably the most likely to make it out of this group. And then I'm probably going to be pulling for my boy Xenocider. I think he has a really good shot as well. Hype that EG train and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, 2 other players, NXC representing Australia, as well as iAsonu from China, who played in last year's Premier League. If you guys want to know these players better as I do, let's take a quick look at a video.
WCS Premier Round of 32 continues with a diverse collection of respective national killers in Group D, featuring Invictus Gaming iAsonu, China's greatest talent and recent GPL winner.
This defense is very good for IA.
Trees GG is called IA takes game number 2.
Evo Genius's Xenocider, dynamic and aggressive, representing the best Terran from the US.
I don't think he can be stopped now.
I don't think so.
GG.
Invasion Esports Harstem, ranked number 1 in the Netherlands and a Protoss sensation.
Well, he breaks forward and he's going to take this fight one way or the other. Storm is ready, and a couple of those storms are going to end.
Silicon Sports NXZ, Australian newcomer taking out the Fenner and Pig to prove his name. Merging 4 countries together, these players will compete in some of the most unique matchups the Premier League has to offer.
Wow, I have to say, Xenocider really stole the spotlight from that video representing the American flag.
Yeah, I mean, I want to revoke Pult's Captain America status just right now and just give it to Xenocider. Ooh, the crowd got not on my side for this one. If Xenocider wins, though, I do want to hear some USA chants from everybody. Even if you're at home, you know, let's get it going.
And speaking of Xenocider, he will be featured in our first match of the day here in Group D. He'll be going up against IA representing China. And this match is interesting because IA actually made it to Premier League last season in Season 1. Unfortunately lost to Hydra and Showtime. But to be fair, those two actually made it to the top 4 in Season 1. So Huck, do you think that was just a bit of unfortunate luck?
In that particular scenario, I do think it was just unfortunate luck, but he's going to have a really hard time playing against Xenocider. I have some insider information on him, and apparently he has about a 30% win rate, ZvT, so I think he could struggle here actually against Xenocider. I mean, how reliable that is, it's coming from his manager, so I think it's pretty spot on maybe.
Well, to be fair, Xenocider, this is his first time in Premier League. We've already had many players make their Premier League debut, but you know, Xenocider, he's a really young player. He's only 17 years old, and nerves can play a big factor here. I mean, it could be more about how he is prepared mentally more than his prepared gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Looking at him, he's all G'd up. He looks ready to go, man. I don't know. He's taking all those $1 bills. Gonna head out to some other establishment tonight, I guess, to celebrate, maybe.
Well, it looks like he's going for the Marine Lord route, as Marine Lord had a similar look going for him earlier on yesterday, and we did see he did move on to the round of 16, so maybe this is a good sign for Xenocider.
Let us hope so. He could make a lot of money today if he makes it to the round of 16, makes it to Toronto.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know that you're rooting for your teammate Xenocider here, but to be fair, IA kind of has a momentum thing going for him. He is a recent GPL champion. GPL, of course, is the Golden Professional League over in China, which is their big tournament over there. Whereas Xenocider, he was a champion back in 2013 with IEF and hasn't really shown the greatest results since. So would you not say the momentum is in IA's favor?
Yeah, everything I've heard from the staff and Chinese players, they say IA is like one of the strongest, if not the strongest Chinese players right now. That being said, I still have confidence in my boy, so I'm gonna pick Xenocider to take this match.
All right then. Well, we'll find out who comes out on top in our first match of the day here in Group D. Let's head over to our casters with Nathanius and Kane.
Thank you very much, Sue. I love Xeno's getup today. He is repping America very well. I know as a Canadian, it might be a bit much for your eyes.
No, I'm completely on board with the getup.
You're digging it.
Yeah.
All right.
I love America.
Thank you, Kane. Thank you. That was the right answer. Welcome to the World Championship Series, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going into a Terran versus Zerg very soon between, of course, Xenocider and Invictus Gaming's IA. I'm very interested to see how this goes, especially, Huck mentioning the low win rate said by his manager. Looking at his matches, playing LAN against Terran, offline matches, it's been a while. Most of the results that we were able to find against Protosses or Zergs, but then majority of games, he plays a lot online, of course, but especially playing outside of China, like his offline matches against Terran are borderline non-existent.
Yep, and then you have to also take into account the fact that he might be a bit jet-lagged. He might not be used to playing in this offline environment so much. And
I just caught sight of that on the map veto screen. If we go to map 3, one of these guys didn't veto Infernal Pools.
Ooh.
So
we're in for a treat.
We're playing Iron Fortress, and then game 3 could be Infernal Pools, and that this series is already looking really, really interesting to me for that reason alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even this first map, if they do get horizontal positions, it can be very strong for Terran.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy. We are actually loaded in. We're ready to just jump right into this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in with Group D. The last group will be broadcasting here from Burbank, California. You're watching the World Championship Series. In the bottom right position of Iron Fortress, we have the blue Terran player representing Evil Geniuses. He's Xenocider. Nothing says baller like a hoodie of only $1 bills. You'd think the graphic that could have been like hundreds,
How about, yeah, $20 bills.
Yeah, it's like, it's like really balling. But his opponent in the top right position, coming all the way from China representing Invictus Gaming, he's IA. All right, Kane, I gotta ask you, you play a reasonable amount of StarCraft, being a Premier League player yourself, somewhat reasonable amount.
Excuse me?
Do you play versus Xeno a lot? Do you know if he goes mech? I think of him usually when I see his games as a bio guy.
Yeah, well, I did practice with Xeno quite a bit, not for these matches, but in the past we have practiced, and he's always a bio player. He really favors that bio play, he feels comfortable with it, and I think that's what he'll stick to this series.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. He's opening up with an 11 supply barracks into an 11 supply gas, so we're actually seeing very similar to how Marine Lord opened up yesterday, how we saw Bunny open up occasionally as well. And it's a lot of fast 3 Reapers, probably fast 3 command centers, and you can do a lot of different things with this. We saw Marine Lord open Banshee out of this and still go into bio anyway. Of course, he ended up using mech to get out of his group, but what does IA do? Do these spawns affect his possible strategy versus Xenocider in this map?
I think that with these spawns, you really have to be careful of those first 2 medevacs coming out. Maybe around the 10-11 minute mark, you have to be careful about drops going straight to your main base. So I think that IA has to position some overlords on that path and maybe get an idea of where those medevacs will come from.
Yeah. And his spawning pool timing, he built it at 15 supply. He didn't build any drones after starting his hatchery, so he wants to be extra defensive against the Reaper, I'd imagine.
Yep, and he's keeping that second overlord out front, looking for any bunkers that might come up, looking for any 2 racks that might come up in the early game. But as we see, Xeno is just making that 1 barracks.
Is Xeno the kind of young punk to go for the 2 racks in the center of the map? Would he be that guy? Can he?
I don't think he's afraid to cheese. I've seen some cheese from him before, and I don't think that he would be afraid this series, but we'll see.
All right. I know against Protoss, he's the kind of guy, like, I used to talk about builds with him, and he kind of inspired me to do a lot of the gas first, mine drop play, and perhaps if he were to end up playing against Hearthstone at some point in this group, we could see that. But I know he likes some of those aggressive strategies, not necessarily cheese, but you know what I mean. Really, really heavy committed attacks.
And yeah, IA did get that first scout off with the Overlord, so he knows where Xeno is, and Xeno just fighting IA's base now, so the Reapers are going to try to kill maybe a couple Lings or maybe a drone, but with good micro, IA should avoid taking any damage.
Yeah, and Xenocider also gets to see the gas being mined. He knows that 100 hasn't been mined yet if he were to click on the extractor, so he has a rough idea of how fast Zergling speed could come. In this game, it's not really fast at all.
Not that fast, nope. And he's just gonna, it looks like he's going into a standard play right now, mining 100 gas and taking those guys off. And we'll probably see a 3rd base around the 6-minute mark maybe, or he could even go for maybe a 2 base layer or something like that.
Yeah, he jumps in with the 2 Reapers, gets caught at risk. I mean, the creep spread doesn't really go that well, so the Queen actually has quite a bit of difficulty coming back from the natural. And getting a couple drone kills would be nice. He does want to try to keep the Reapers alive, though, getting almost 2 drones. I think if he loses a Reaper, he'll regret his life choices.
Yeah, but he does get out of there. Nice little micro by Xeno there.
How much does something like that hurt IA to have to move his Queen around, to pull some of those drones, and to even lose a drone?
It's annoying, but it's not game-ending by any means, but you're right, it definitely is a bit annoying.
All right. He jumps up again, the Zerglings. He's like, yeah, you better stay down there.
Yep.
And the Overlord, I guess, gives him a really good amount of vision. Pretty well placed. So he has, I think, really... Is this like where you want to be to watch where these Reapers could come in from?
Definitely, because you always want to be careful of what happened there, where Xeno can jump up with those Reapers and run by and kill a couple drones.
Yeah. He doesn't have a creep tumor connecting his main and natural yet.
No, he doesn't. That might be something he can consider in the next couple minutes. And yeah, he hasn't started his creep spread yet, which is a bit strange. And he's not taking... Yeah, he's going for a 2-base layer here.
Yeah, but this isn't really like the fastest 2-base layer you can go for, right? Like, as far as Mutalisks go, like, how fast could he realistically get them out if he was going straight for them from this point?
I mean, with a 6-minute layer, you could get Aspire down at 720 and maybe finish by, I don't know, around 9 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So, if Xeno stays aware, with the opening that he's gone for, with a fast stim, no early second gas whatsoever, if he goes into early barracks production especially, or even double engineering bay, he has all the tools that he would need to defend a Mutalisk play, right?
Right. And actually, we see 3 gases from IA here. So it is going to be Roach play. And
okay.
There comes down that Roach one in the 3rd base. So it looks like he just wants to play defensively here.
You think this is a stronger way for IA to set himself up versus faster Spire?
I think it's a very safe play. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. Xeno is going for that 3CC play. We see the 3rd orbital just finishing up now, and the barracks coming down too. Yeah,
so getting the 2 barracks before the engineering base should give him enough unit production to defend against a Roach push, right?
I definitely think so, yeah.
So what does IA need to do from this point? And now that he's starting to get that creep out towards his 3rd base, he has the 3rd hatchery closing in. There's no Banshee, so he shouldn't be able to force a cancel on it. Actually, he starts Roach speed. Is he Is he going to go for some kind of push? Is this an aggressive play?
He's not getting any upgrades, so it might just be an all-in roach speed timing
It's
attack.
a really big roach speed push.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how I feel about that, because he's gotten 3 queens already. It looks like he wants to play macro, and I think that's what Xeno's thinking right now.
So he's trying to sell to Xenocider this idea that, hey, I'm building roaches defensively, I got Zergling speed defensively, I'm concerned about being attacked, but then really he just wants to ricochet right off of that and go for the aggression himself.
Right, he wants to surprise Xeno here, and to be honest, I think that's what might happen. I mean, Xeno has 1 bunker at the front with 2 Marines inside, and right now that's pretty much all he has, other than, you know, some Hellions and Reapers, which don't do too much against those roaches.
I mean, when I look at this from the Terran perspective, I feel like getting the 2 extra barracks before the engineering bays can give you enough unit production to help push roaches away, especially when it's not upgraded roaches. But, you know, having those upgrades done faster makes those units so much better at fighting off the roaches, so it gets really complicated. He hasn't started a Baneling nest. Is this just pure roaches?
This is going to be pure roach. He's going to reinforce with more roaches. He's just going for a huge timing attack. And the Reaper does get the scout off on all those roaches, so he knows at this point exactly what is coming.
Yeah, Xenocider starts 2 bunkers immediately, but the roaches are already making their way across the map. He needs to buy time. He's starting to build Marauders out of that Tech Lab barracks. He does have Stim, but without Medivacs, he just started his first 2. He can't really make a big play with Stim.
Right, and I mean, those roaches busting in, they killed the first bunker, and the bunkers aren't finished yet.
Yeah, he gets right through. The SCVs are trying to hold the roaches in play, but once they get on top of these Marines that are stimming without the medevac support, they do start to die very quickly, trying to get to the bunker. Okay, one of the bunkers does finish, the second one's done too. He actually can't get his Marines up there, so the roaches continue to push in, continue to kill dozens of SCVs. We're all pushing close to 22 now as he continues to move in. The bunkers still stand strong. He's got another wave of Marines coming out, but the medevacs are also finishing, and I think at this point, with the 3 command centers, he has a chance of recovering if he can just stabilize and kill this army and reclaim his natural in the next minute or 2.
But I mean, the natural has fallen now, and he's going up into the main, and he's going to cap the production soon enough.
Yeah.
These medevacs are trying to heal these Marines as much as they can, but these roaches are really strong right now.
He just needed a bit more time to keep those Marines alive in the bunker in time for these medevacs to come out. He's forced to pull more SCVs, and generally, Terrans can afford to lose a lot of workers against pushes like this because you have the mules to fall back on and there's not Banelings to kill you. But once IA is actually on the production and he can kill 1 wave of Marines as it comes out, there's really not much that Xenocider can do. Like, he finishes +1 attack, but the armor upgrade isn't done yet, and now he's out of workers to buffer. GG! IA takes the first map of the series. And very interesting. You know, the Reaper, you mentioned the Reaper got to see the roaches, but it was just a little bit too late. Do you think, for Xenocider, are there any other signs that he could have looked for earlier to tell that this was coming?
Yeah, so the key point in that game was Xeno saw the third base go down a little later than 6 minutes, so maybe around 7 minutes or something like that. As soon as you see that, you know that it's not completely standard, so you want to maybe throw a scan down in the main or in the natural and see what exactly IA is up to at that point. But he didn't do that. He assumed that it was just standard play. He saw the 3 queens, saw some speedlings, the creeps red. It looked like everything was normal, but in reality, behind the third base, behind the 3 queens, was so many roaches, and he just busted and he surprised, you know, the bunkers weren't done.
And if these 2 bunkers are finished before these roaches arrive, all those Marines on the bottom side that get killed, that Marauder especially, the Marauder is so crucial to keeping it alive. The extra 400 hit points to buffer makes this, I think, a completely different game. Like, all he needed to do is figure out what was happening 15, 20 seconds earlier.
Yep, you're completely right, and unfortunately he wasn't, and he did drop that first game, so we have a 1-0 lead for IA at this point.
Is this the kind of strategy that IA can fall back on for game number 2? Like, we're playing on Vani Research Station, much easier map to defend on 2 bases. You could do the same build and just have a tighter choke point to defend. I think that would make it a lot easier, even if the same thing happened again.
So I know that yesterday, Harston and Xeno were actually going through IA's Korean ladder account, looking at the match history, looking at his openers, and they did see that he loved to open roaches very frequently. So I wouldn't be surprised if IA did open roaches again, but I don't think it'll be an all-in like that. I think maybe he'll get upgrades this time or something like that.
Maybe an earlier pressure or something like Roach Bane he could mix in at some point in this series.
Yep.
I guess we'll have to see. We're loaded into Vani Research Station, map number 2 here, in the first series of the day, here at the World Championship Series Group D. Spawning as the Red Zerg player, representing Invictus Gaming, he's IA. And his opponent spawning in the north position, representing Evil Geniuses in USA, he's Xenocider.
Yeah, so Vanny is actually a very good mech, it's a very good mech map, but I did speak with Xeno a bit earlier today, and he said that he feels quite comfortable with his bio play. I'm not sure if that means that he might mix in some mech, but if I had to make a guess, I would say just bio throughout the day.
Yeah, if he was going to go mech though, like this would be usually the best map to do it on because it's just so easy to hold any type of 2-base push. And it's easy enough that you can also prepare for things like Mutalisks without being weak on the ground. It often comes down to the Zerg making a play on the 3rd base, but fast barracks again, fast gas at 11 supply, just gets it out a little bit faster. If there's any Zerg that opens early pool against this, like you're going to get shut down super hard by that first Reaper if the Terran is aware, and it of course allows you to put on pressure to keep the Zerg on their toes. It looks like IA is going to go for the hatch first again. You think it makes sense to just go straight for the pool afterwards? Don't take the risk? I
think so, yeah. He'll probably throw down a 15 pool. If he's feeling a little bit bold, he might throw down a 16 pool. But most of the time, especially on this map where the base-to-base distance is so short, we will see 15 pools quite often.
Yeah, and that cliff outside, you know, in your entire main base is so encircled with area that Reaper can jump up that it makes it very difficult to pre-position yourself to actually catch that Reaper. Much more difficult than Iron Fortress, where those 6 lings could be in one spot and prevent any Reaper movement.
Right, yeah, very much. So we need a queen at the ledge there, maybe, I don't know, 4 to 6 lings to catch that Reaper.
Maybe even patrolling, and then the Reaper can just, you know, slip and slide around.
Sounds good to me.
It gets tricky. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those maps where I think as a Terran player, I love to open Reapers on this map. There's so many opportunities to punish mistakes from Zerg players because of that wide surface area. And unlike many other maps, and I think back to Violet versus Marine Lord when they played in the first series on Coda, where he tried to go for the command center denial, and where he actually got it later on in that series. And you can't slip lings around to the natural because the natural is tucked in. You have the pocket natural.
It's so protected.
Yeah. It's very easy to move out on the map as a Terran player on 2 bases and not worry about counterattacks.
And so IA, he's actually only mining gas with 1 guy at this point, 1 drone. I'm not sure what this means. I haven't seen this before. He might be wanting to fake Xeno out. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to see where that goes, but he does get a ling here.
Yeah, as the Reaper gets pushed around, he starts to mine gas with the rest of his drones again, so it could be a bit confusing for Xenocider to look at. But is it possible that IA saw anything that made him think, okay, I should just mine a few more minerals, or maybe he's worried that the Reaper would actually kill drones mining gas? Is that a realistic fear?
I think that's probably accurate, because that extractor is a little bit on the outside. The drones are easily targetable, so I think that might be it. The first Reaper did kill 3 lings, actually, so that's very good for Xeno so far. Normally, you want to limit that to about 1 ling.
Yeah. The Queen doesn't have as much support now, and if the Reaper is actually able to continue whittling the hit points down on that with how late Zergling speed started, I think this could turn into one of those awkward situations where the Reapers are actually able to kill a Queen because there's just so many different places to poke in that you can't be, you know, perfectly defensively postured. Meanwhile, Xenocider going up to 3 command centers, same opening as the last game so far.
Opening. Yep, I love what IA is doing here. He has Overlords positioned on the edge there, so he can see where the Reapers really jump up, and that way he can limit the run by potential.
Yeah, he's giving himself the best possible chance to defend against the Reapers, and when the Hellions show up, that can supplement him in a way that will allow him to continue to push the aggression. But he also did, smart, tiny things that, players at this level do, like keeping the weakened Queen back. He moved out 2 healthy ones to the front, so he won't risk as much losing that Queen. And now he's getting ready. It looks like, is he going to try to take a 3rd base here? Is he where he moves all these Queens up front?
The 3rd base is quite easy to take on this map as well. It's very close to the main. And again, the natural is protected, so you don't have to worry about defending that as much. And the Overlord did get a full scout off here. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows that it's a 3 CC play and 1 gas. So he knows it's not going to be Banshees or anything like that.
And as a Zerg player, the Banshee is the #1 thing you're worried about when it comes to taking that 3rd base, right? Because just the Hellions and Reapers alone can usually be pushed back by the Queens and Zerglings.
And the Banshee can actually go to the natural very easily.
Yeah, that's true. You force your Queens to spread around a lot.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, it's just a very standard play. IA is getting up that safety Baneling Nest at this point.
Yeah, it's a much, he's actually getting that Baneling Nest rather than going right for the Roach Horn with that lair, of course. So very different setup overall compared to the last game. These Queens are pulled pretty far off creep, though. Are they at risk?
I wouldn't say so right now. There is a couple transfuses there, and as those Queens continue to build up energy, he'll feel safer and safer. He's actually bringing 4 Queens down right now. So that's very, very safe.
Yeah, he's actually going up to 6 Queens at the moment. He has a 6th one on the way.
I love it. I think this is really good play. He's going to get really sick creep spread. He's going to get a lot of transfuse energy, and he won't be afraid of really anything right now.
Yeah, I was going to say this is something I've actually seen in a reasonable amount of your play.
Yes.
The Queen Posse to defend a lot of early Terran aggression with all of those transfuses. It's quite difficult even to kill them with just Hellbats without Banelings.
I almost feel like at this point IA is a little bit afraid. The Reaper did try to jump up in the main there and get a scout off, but unfortunately IA did have Link's position to intercept it.
Yeah. So IA starts his 1-1 just a little bit faster. Xenocider has the 2 engineering base finishing up, so he can begin his upgrades immediately. We have that starport beginning now. So it'll finish around 9.5 minutes. First medevacs route, what, 10-15? So around close to 11 minutes, he's going to be worrying about drop play. That's going to become a big, serious threat as Xenocider looks to establish his 3rd base now.
And a very common place to drop is the natural base, so I will want Overlords positioned around there to see where those medevacs come in, just like in the
Do you
previous
like
round.
this setup? He doesn't really have a lot of Overlords out on the map.
Yeah, I would probably position a couple Overlords on the right side,
Yeah.
and maybe that's something he'll consider in the next minute or so.
It looks like he's moving some now.
Yeah, he actually is, so I like that. And his creep threat is actually developing quite well. So at this point, IA has a very good setup. His upgrades are on the way, his lair is on the way, Overlord speed even. He's just playing very safe, very economical.
Yeah, seems everything seems very standard so far in this game between the two of these players. Not a Roach Warren in sight, so Zergling, Baneling, Mutalisk is what we were expecting out of IA, just straight up play?
Absolutely, yeah. He's playing as standard can be, and meanwhile Xeno's doing the exact same thing. So for those of you who like standard, long games with lots of back and forth action, this is the game for you.
Yeah, it's going to come down a lot to the mechanics of these players, to not get supply blocked, to continuously push out forces, and the control in the engagements. The Marine splitting versus the Banelings, the sniping versus the creep, the everything. The Reaper comes in, you see 2 Evos, you see the lair.
One thing that should be noted is Xeno is really being careful this game. He's really trying to get the scout off that he can, because he doesn't want a repeat of Game 1. He doesn't want to be surprised by anything.
It's a really good point. Even if IA plays straight up, Xenocider has to consider the possibility that he could be facing another massive, massive push. And we even saw Violet do that, where it kind of looked normal, and then he just went for a massive, massive swell of roaches with the Lings and the Banelings, and that obviously complicated things a lot for Marine Lord yesterday. Some Zerglings are running around to the left side, possibly posturing to put some pressure on that 3rd. But this push, you know, the medevacs, we're at 11 minutes. He's here at the edge of creep. 1-1 is finishing, combat shield's finishing, and he's got stimmed Marines. There's not a crazy amount of Banelings in this position to actually defend.
Right, and the main point of this push isn't to kill anything other than maybe a couple queens, but it's mostly to clear creep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Xeno's doing.
As a Terran player, that's one of your biggest focuses here, and you can always pick up the Marines to run away. It's right before those Mutalisks are coming out. Banelings are going to try to run by to this 3rd base. There's not a lot of SCVs to kill, but he gets what's there.
That's actually a very nice play, and meanwhile he did deflect that main push, so IA is feeling quite good right now. He has 67 drones. I'd like to see that go up to maybe 80 or so, maybe get some gases on the 4th base there, which is just finishing up now. We do have a drop moving out right now, but IA's Overlord positioning is actually really, really good. He does have that tower, so he can see any drops coming.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing, though, because he got the Overlord speed. We talked about the Overlord spread. He's able to spread them out much more easily because he researches that upgrade. He can even escape, too. Tries to scan and clear up another creep tumor, but the Lings and Banelings are there. Really nicely timed Baneling speed in correlation to when the medevacs are coming out, so it's a lot easier to chase those forces if they get on creep. And another Baneling curveball being thrown towards that 3rd mineral line.
But this time, Xeno's learned from his mistakes. He's walled off. And these drops are going to clear any Overlords that they can on the right side of the map. And IA is actually very good with his counter-attacking. He's always looking for opportunities to run in, maybe get some Baneling hits, anything that might lead to an advantage for him.
Yeah. At this point, looking at the setups for both of these players, we have the 2-2, a bit not really crazy farther ahead for IA compared to Xenocider. 2nd factory is finishing soon, and Burrow is on the way. Do you like either player's position more than the other game?
I like IA's. It feels like he's kind of gotten to the point in the game where he feels very comfortable. His upgrades are on the way. Everything's kind of going his way. Xeno hasn't been able to find any openings yet. So I think as the game continues on, if IA takes good engagements, it'll be very good for him.
Yeah, when I think about this from the Terran perspective, oftentimes you want to put pressure and deny or delay a 4th base. At least force a cancel on it once you get that 2-2 going. Do you feel that Xenocider's in a position to make any type of big push soon?
I don't think so. If you look at the creep spread, IA is really focusing on the left side of the map where that 4th base might be exposed. He's going in with some Mutalisks right now, focusing down that turret, but Xeno is quite quick with his multitasking and repairs it as soon as possible.
Yeah, the Widowmine's not getting big shots off at all, and that massive flood of Zergling Baneling pushes Xenocider off of the watchtower as the 2-2 finishes up for IA. 2-2 is still just a smidge away for Xenocider, so the upgrades, he won't be ahead for very long. His window to push with this is very small, but with how many Banelings he has, and Burrow finishing up. I feel like this opens up a really big opportunity. Do you think we'll see burrowed Baneling mines from IA?
I think so. One thing that we might see is a big 2-2 push as well. He's morphing in a lot of Banelings right now, which indicates to me that he wants to be aggressive. But at the same time, Xeno is pushing out, which can be very dangerous for him. He only has 4 medevacs with this push right now.
So you think IA is in a prime spot to defend this push?
Absolutely, and he's setting up a big flank. This is going to be a really sick engage for IA.
He's going to make a massive Baneling sandwich of this Terran army. Moving in right now, even ready to go off creep. Xenocider trying to split his forces, but there's just an absurd amount of Banelings chasing forward. And even the medevacs, if he can't clean up any of the forces on the ground, the Mutalisks can very easily snatch these up. Reinforcements are going to come in for Xenocider, but he doesn't have anything to actually buffer for this army. He just continues to push in. There's a Thor here, but against the Mutalisks, like, he still needs to deal with the Zerglings and the Banelings on the ground. He's killed every single ground hit that Xenocider has.
And he's not slowing down. He's going to keep pushing into the main. He's going to start camping the production if he can. Xeno needs to rally those units back a little bit and maybe rally enough units to clean this up. But at this point, it's almost looking overwhelming.
Yeah, a really nice bit of micro with the Thor and the medevac. He cleaned up a lot of the Mutalisks, but there's just so many Zerglings, and once they're on top of the Terran's production like this, there's very little that you can do. You need to ball your forces together. You need to get your Marines into a pack where they can be most effective, where they can maximize their damage output and prevent the surrounds from the Zerglings. He runs all the way to his natural with the handful of Marines he has, pulls his SCVs, but it looks like IA is still going to be able to overwhelm him. He's morphing Banelings inside of Xenocider's base. The Mutas continuing to wreak havoc. 30 SCVs have been killed during all of this. The main cleaned out, the natural cleaned out, drops the mules in the main. One last wave of forces to desperately attempt to defend this, but IA doesn't look like he's slowing down back home at all, Kane.
Yeah, Xeno is trying to rally as many units out as he can, but it's just not enough at this point. He lost so many SCVs there. His economy is in ruins. His 4th base isn't started yet, and he has +3 attack, but his +3 armor was not started yet.
I mean, Xenocider, usually it's those 3/3 upgrades for a Terran that can bring you back, but IA wants to take the first series of the day here, busts the bunker on the 3rd, the last vestige of economy for our American Terran player as he swats down the missile turret as well. Nothing left to defend here, just a handful of Widow Mines, a handful of Marines, and these medevacs battered and bruised as he continues to push in once again. IA trying to end this and take the first series. Snipes the 3rd base command center. The Banelings continue to push in, kills the Thor, kills the Marines, and GG's called. The 2-0 for IA here at the World Championship Series.
I am very impressed right now. That play by A just kind of exuded a lot of confidence there. He wasn't afraid to push. He wasn't afraid to all in. His standard play was absolutely frightening. That was really, really great play by IA there.
Yeah, it was super clean game number 2 from IA. He didn't do anything fancy. To be fair, Xenocider didn't really do anything fancy either, but as a Zerg player, he was, you pointed out, allowed to spread his creep reasonably well. He did a great job of replacing the tumors that Xenocider killed, and every time Xenocider actually pushed, he got some tumors, but he didn't ever kill anything important with his pressure.
Right, like if you look at that last game, Xeno almost didn't cross that side of the map at all. He did not go on IA's side of the map. That entire game was just IA doing what he wanted, and Xeno trying to find openings, but his standard play just wasn't good enough that game.
Yeah, very, very tough spot to be in. Xenocider showing up, maybe, it's like his first time playing in Premier, maybe the nerves get a bit in there, but IA just played overall a much cleaner series. Like game number 1, the deception showed up, but I really felt like in game 2, it was just, he just got outplayed by IA. Really, really nice play by the Zerg.
Yeah, and I almost feel like Xeno was a bit afraid in that last game. Like, you can see he went with a couple Reapers. He was trying to find anything that might indicate an all-in or anything like that. He was just playing very frightened. And IA just took that opportunity. He just went ham. He did everything that he wanted.
Yeah, IA will advance on to the winner's match. He will play against the winner between our next series, NXZ and Harstem. But let's hear now from the man himself, IA, with Smix.
Thank you very much, Nathanius. Congratulations, IA. You're starting the day off with the win. It must feel fantastic. But IA, I have to ask you, I spoke to you right before your match, and you were very humble. You didn't sound very confident. You said that you felt that the other players in your group were stronger than you, and now you just won 2-0 very dominantly. Were you lying to me?
No. As you know, modest is the tradition of China. So I think I told you the other players in my group are much better than me. It's a humble saying. So I have confidence. I have confidence to fight, to have a good fight against them. Thank you.
All right. Well, you are coming off a GPL win in China, the Golden Professional League. You were the champion very recently. And actually, in China, you're currently ranked #1. So coming into this group, didn't that give you a lot of confidence, more than what you showed me when I talked to you earlier?
Yeah, that was my first champion in my professional career. So I was much have more confidence since then. Yeah.
Well, you were in Premier League last season. Unfortunately, you got knocked out because you lost to Hydra and Showtime. And I mentioned this earlier because those two players actually made it to the top 4 in Season 1. So, it's not something you can feel that bad about because they were actually very, very good. You're already starting today off on a different foot. You're starting with a win. So how confident are you that today will be different, that you can make it to the top 16?
I think I already have a good start, but I still need a good end. So I will keep going in next game.
All right. Well, thank you very much, IA. Congratulations on winning your first match of the day. We are going to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, will Hearthstone be able to continue the year of Hearthstone on a hot streak that he's been on lately, or will our Australian player NXZ send him down under to the elimination match? We'll find out after this.